Next section is planning and exploring cost, and we will use the takeoff items that we just extracted from the model for a model-based cost plan. For this, we will first create cost allocations. So a typical workflow may include a phase where I don't have a model yet, but in that phase I do want to say something about the cost. So that could be the back of a napkin kind of cost estimation. After that, we define and activate cost assemblies and cost components. We will define targets, so an explicit set of budget values that we want to compare against later. We'll also save cost plan versions that we want to compare against each other to see where the differences are between version 1 and version 2. We'll use the Cost Explorer to identify where in the project we're running over budget and where variance exists between two versions of the cost plan. And we'll use the isolate and highlight modes in Cost Explorer to identify which model elements are contributing to the cost items that we're looking at. Back to Vico Office, and like I said, we're going to right-click on the workflow panel, and we'll select the Cost Planner module to change the content of the workflow panel. So now we have a slightly different set of workflow items. Takeoff model and managed takeoff are still there, because those are important for cost planning, but we have a new workflow group, which is called cost planning. We'll use plan cost first to define the cost items that we're going to use in the project. Initially, this section is empty. We only have one line item, and that's the project level, and that level is going to be used as the summary level for all of the cost in the project. So what I want to do is first put in 3 cost allocations for the substructure, for the shell, and for the roof. Actually, I want to make that for the walls and the slabs to make it possible to use the current set of takeoff items. Let's call this one walls, and we'll add another one. Actually, I want to change that a little bit to make it more interesting. Change my mind. Superstructure, and I'm going to right-click on here and delete that item. Not going to use any of the model-based quantities for this. So my quantity, I just type that in, is going to be 1. The consumption, I keep that the default 1. And my units are going to be lump sum. Lump sum per lump sum. And that results in an amount. So 1 multiplied by 1 is 1. Simple enough. So it's a unit of a lump sum. And I put in 20,000 for the substructure, and I put in 30,000 for the superstructure. That is my current estimate. Simple enough. The cost on the project level is still 0. In order to start using these components that I just entered, I right-click on the component level and select Activate Assembly, or, and I'm not clicking now, I select that again and select Activate Assembly from the ribbon. As soon as I do that, the cost is going to be added up to the project level. So we have 20,000 plus 30,000 results in the cost in the project level of 50,000. I'm continuing. I want to add a little bit more detail to that substructure, and I want to start using my model-based information. I'm creating a new subcomponent. I'll call that A10 foundation. And for this, I am going to use the quantity or the takeoff item foundation that I just created in the takeoff manager. And I want to use the top surface area. As you can see, the quantity in square feet is copied into the preview of that quantity. That is the extracted model-based quantity. Click OK to start using that value in my cost plan. The consumption is 1, which results in an amount of 1. And the units that we're using there is square foot per square foot. And we have one more unit there, which is the unit or amount unit. And the cost per unit that we're going to use is, let's say, $3. Let's make that 30 to make it work well. And again, we're going to activate that component in the substructure. So at this moment, this value doesn't do anything. It is only added to the project's total cost as soon as I activate the assembly. So I select the substructure level, click the Activate Assembly, and at that moment, the 20,000 that I had earlier is replaced with the new value of 25,000. Also on the project level, you can see that the value is now updated, reflects the sum of 25,981 plus 30,000. So that is the way to gradually increase the level of detail of your cost plan by adding subcomponents and adding them or activating them when you're ready with populating them with quantity information, when you're ready with selecting the desired quantities from your takeoff. Let's add a few more before we define the targets. I'm going to add B10, we call that walls. I'm going to add another new subcomponent, which I call B20, and we'll call that slabs, and one more to call V30 columns.